What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Social Matrix podcast. My name is Armin, and we have a special guest here with us. His name is Mr. Locario himself. And in a little bit, we're going to get Romeo from Succeed in Dating to join us as well. Locario, give it away. Give us some introduction if you want, and then we'll jump into the topic.
All right, that's what's up, man. Well, I appreciate you having me here, man. My name is Mr. Locario. For those who don't know, I am the bad boy of the dating game. I've been coaching men and women for damn near 2 decades, teaching people how to get exactly what they want out of the dating game. So, yeah, that's what I do, man. Just keep it real, give people a realistic approach of getting exactly what they want out here. You know what I mean? So that's what I do.
Love that, bro. I love that. Now, the topic that we have in here today, and I feel like this is something that drives home, maybe for both of us, is that I want to talk about first of all, like, what is pickup? Because I know that you don't teach pickup, and I don't either. But I want to break down on what is pickup and why does pickup make men more toxic than if they were just to learn game?
Well, the thing is, the whole pickup thing stems from pickup artists, which are guys who have tried to figure out ways to pick up women. Right now, there's nothing wrong with picking up women. The issue, though, is that a lot of times what'll happen is that when guys are trying to learn how to pick up women, they're usually coming from a place of scarcity and not being able to attract women in the first place. So they're trying to find a way in order to get women. And sometimes what happens is that when it comes to pickup, they're teaching guys tactics and gimmicks and things to do in order to attract women, instead of actually figuring out who they are and actually figuring out, what makes them, what makes them attractive, and know how to attract what's for them. They'll teach them surface level things in order to attract women. So the thing is, it could be looked at as a toxic situation, because what'll happen is that you'll get guys who are pretending to be someone they're not in order to attract a woman. And with that surface level energy, they can, for a minute get a woman to pay attention to them, but it's never a thing that lasts long. Or what it does is that it creates a situation where guys seek validation. And then that's what's going to make them want to keep chasing women who are not really attracted to them, women who are not for them. And that's going to really lead them down a path of not understanding themselves at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true, man. And honestly, there was something you mentioned, and I want to go into that a little bit more, is that you said the magic words. You said men are chasing women. And I feel like in the pickup artist world, it's like, I'm sure you have heard this term, it's ridiculous, but it's called the shit test.
Right.
Every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, like, I lose a brain cell. Because the whole concept of a shit test is you're fucking up, okay? You're doing something for her to challenge your integrity, right? If you were real, why would she need to challenge your integrity? You already
right.
But something you mentioned is that, these guys, they chase women. And then they learn all this lingo, like demonstrating higher value, routines, all these stories. And so what I break it down to is that pickup is compartmentalizing your emotions in these little boxes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there's confidence, there's you just being a leader. But in pickup, it's like, no. There's this part of you. There's this part of you. And then there's like game in like the beach, game in the street, game in market basket, game in, I'm saying, like, all these little, like, small little things. But game is, you're not chasing anybody. In the lack of better words, it's in a way like, and I think this is kind of your teaching as well, is that they're chasing you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're presenting who you are as your masculine self, and she is like, she's not choosing you, you're choosing her to join your life. It's like a difference. What when I say that, like, what does that mean to you? Like, I'm saying, like, she's choosing you versus you chasing her.
Yeah. So the thing is that what men do is you present an opportunity to a woman to choose you. So what that means is that doesn't mean I just stand on the wall and I walk into a place and don't say anything and I'm just expecting women to come up to. That's not what it is. A lot of guys think that's what it is. What it is that when you approach a woman, you talk to her, you interact with her. So you're giving her a chance to get with you. So a lot of times what happens is when guys don't have game, what they're doing is they're trying to get with a woman. And what I teach guys is to give a woman an opportunity to get with you. So the difference is that when you're trying to get with a woman, what you're essentially saying is, I'm trying to get with her program so that I can have her, right? The opposite is the woman has to get with you, which means she has to get with your program. So the thing about having game is being able to attract women on your terms. So if it's your terms, that means she's getting with your terms, which is your program. The problem is that a lot of guys, what they think game is, how do I find a way to get a woman by any means necessary? So this is where the pickup artist stuff comes in. This is where manipulation comes in. This is where guys are chasing women. This is where guys are trying to pass their shit test and, go out on 10 different dates just to sleep with her. All of these things that make a guy do all these things outside of his character in order to be able to quote unquote get her. So what happens is that when you have game, what you understand is you understand how valuable you are as a man. So therefore, you're able to give a woman an opportunity to get with you. This is why when you approach a woman, right, you're doing an amazing thing, which is you're giving her an opportunity to say yes to you, because most women, they're not approaching. They're waiting for the man to create the relationship. They're waiting for the man to approach. You set up the date. You're the one leading the interaction. So a woman's experience dating is really a man making a choice to give her an opportunity. But a lot of guys don't see it that way and they don't understand it. They're so concerned about a woman rejecting them, or they're worried about what a woman thinks or everybody else thinks, that they don't realize their value and their power in the situation. So the thing is that when you have game, you trust in yourself enough to have that vision of you being that valuable guy to say, oh, well, there are women who are going to be down with my program because I'm that guy. So because I'm that guy, then women are going to be attracted to me. And I know they're going to be attracted to me because they see the value in me. But the problem is most guys, they don't see value in themselves. Therefore, they're not able to, have that perspective or do that thing. So then they look at women as the validation, women as, well, I need her to feel valuable as a man. And this is why they chase. This is why they come up with tactics. This is why they feel like they got to pass her shit test, all this other nonsense. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And honestly, there's something, there's something like every time I talk to someone who learns this pickup or whatever, they always tell me like, I'm learning pickup so I can get a woman who's out of my league.
Oh God, that's the worst.
Like you already lost. You already threw in the towel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's you starting a boxing fight. You're like, I'm only in here to prove to this guy that I can kick his ass.
Right.
Like, but why? Like, why? Right? It makes no sense. Right? It's terrible. Like both of us were able to see this, crystal clear. Like this is so obvious. It's like right in my face. But then I meet somebody like one of my wings. I went out with him, and God bless his soul. Who's going to look at this video later. But I was over there vibing and just putting myself out there. Just being silly or whatever. I like doing this, fun. And then he's looking at me like, Armin, I can't do that because I don't have a script for dancing.
Oh my God.
Okay. I'm the sort of Locario. Like this was the whole conversation. Okay. Where he wanted to learn material before he talks to girls.
Right.
Like you have already lost. Like if you think that way, it's game over. Don't even step in that club. It's too late. Okay. Right. Stay home. Okay. Like honestly, don't even go out at that point. Right. All these guys, they think that like, oh, like, when I was younger, when I was learning game, I had a really rough childhood. So I learned game just because things in the household were better. And then I was like, okay, now I can involve girls in my life. Before girls were just not important in my life. Versus another person who's like, nothing against them, but they have a hard time getting girls. And they're like, I need a girl. Okay. Right. Their mentality is going to be like, I want to learn game so I can attract the cheerleader, the hot girl.
Right.
But I wanted to learn game. I mean, I already had game, but I just want to improve on what I know. so I can have the girls that I want in my life, versus their, I'm saying like, so I feel like the mentality of it before you even talk to a girl, that's is what is going to be the game changer.
Right, exactly. No, you're right. Because even when you were saying that, guys say, "Well, I want to get the girl who's out of my league."
Mm-hmm.
So
It's like,
that thought already within itself, it means that you're losing, because
yeah,
what
you
you
already
think
lost.
is right. You think she's out of your league. You think that she's above you. You think that she's, in a certain situation that you can't reach, or that you can't be in. And again, that again is the mentality of trying to get her. So you're saying, well, she is the prize. I'm trying to attain her, and she's out of this league. So she's out of my league. So if I was able to get her, then that means that she's pulling me up from somewhere. So I'm at the bottom. And if I was able to get her, that would mean I'm on top. And see, that mentality is the reason why guys lose, and the reason why they're not attractive. Because if she is in fact out of your league, then you shouldn't get her, which means that why would she want you? Which means that when you're trying to interact with her, she's going to feel that energy of, oh, this guy's a loser. He's a weirdo. He's, I could do better than him, because you've already said that to yourself. So when you come to the situation, she can feel that energy. You're the type of guy who's going to put her on a pedestal. You're the type of guy who's going to be excited about the fact that she's talking to you. You're the type of guy that she's going to see that you are, sweating her and thinking she's the best thing ever. And then so now that's the thing that makes you unattractive, because she's looking at you like, well, if you're putting me on the pedestal, that means I'm looking down on you. And that means I need to get better than you. So how are you able to attract these women who are out of your league if you've already put yourself below? And therefore, this is why you're not attractive to her in the first place. And these guys don't realize this. So what they do is this: they'll get this girl who they quote unquote think is out of their league, or they'll get her on a date, or sometimes they'll even hook up with this girl. The problem is that the price they paid to do that is they had to go on 4 or 5 dates. They had to spend this amount of money. They had to, hang out with her a bunch of times. They had to deal with her disrespect. They had to deal with her flakiness. So they'll do all these things and think that they're getting somewhere or they're making progress, but all they did was wear a woman down and do all these other things that made her just sort of given at a specific moment. But that woman doesn't respect him. She doesn't really like him. And he's put himself through hell just to get there. It's terrible.
Yeah, honestly, like, oh man, like it's see, like for someone like myself, like when I see stuff like this, it is so like point blank period, so obvious. Like,
right,
it's like looking at the sky. Like, I already know it's blue. Okay, I don't need to look at the sky to check if it's like, I don't know, purple or like some
right,
rainbow colors or whatever. There's no surprise. Like I already know it's blue. I don't need to double check that information. But
right.
it's like in pickup, like I'm in different groups and stuff, just so I can kind of like widen men's mindset about the ludicrous, the ridiculous shit that pickup does. And one of them, I get this a lot, where men will, like, I have clients and stuff. They're like, Armin, how do I speak to a girl who is, let's say, a specific height, or how do I
Right.
speak to a girl who, this girl is, and I hate this when I hear this. They're like, how do I speak to a girl who's like a super babe? I'm like, what's the difference of a super babe from the other girl outside? Like, it comes down to your personal integrity, like,
Right.
I always emphasize to whoever you are behind closed doors should be the same man outside.
Right.
Also, the same fat girl you speak to should be the same game that you spit to the supermodel. Every human being, I mean, not every human being, every woman you're trying to sleep with, speak to them the same.
Right.
Don't compartmentalize into like cashier game, traffic game, elevator game, like beach game. Like, stop it. Okay, make it simple. If men, the reason pickup exists, a bunch of nerds got together and they're like, we have to learn how to get girls, and then they broke everything down to like a really semantics, data structures, algorithm. I'm saying, you have
Right.
right?
Right. And what the funny part is about all that is that, the premise of that entire ideology comes from looking at women as a problem to be solved, or looking at women as something to attain. So then what happens is that in their mind, they make a woman like this prize to be won. And then so when you do that already, you've already made yourself in a lower position within the interaction, right? Because the thing is this is I always say this is that within any interaction, right? Somebody is going to be following the other person. So the entire thought process a lot of times with pickup artists is that they are doing things based on the goal of trying to get the woman. So that means that they've basically already submitted to her. They're saying, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to change my life and change myself and be this way in order to get her here? Do you see what I'm saying? And that's what they don't even realize they're doing. Instead of them just being themselves and saying, hey, this is who I am. And I'm going to interact with women and give them the opportunity to get with my program. So that now what happens is that I have a woman who actually cares, who actually is interested, who's actually attracted in who I am, so that we can go in this direction and it's going to be beneficial for both of us. See, what a lot of guys don't understand is that when you simp, when you trick, when you don't have game, when you're chasing women, it's not beneficial to you. And it's also not beneficial to her because she doesn't really like you like that. So she's essentially submitting. I mean, I say submitting, she's essentially settling in this situation when it comes to dealing with you. It's terrible.
That's so true, man. That's so true. And you know what happens from this? Like, because a lot of guys will look at this podcast and be like, oh, they're just like, they're shitting on pickup. But really not so, because, well, what pickup ends up doing, and this is a topic where a few of the guys were like, oh, don't talk to Locario about this. Nothing to you, just being on a podcast. But I will talk about it. I have no problem at all. Now, what pickup leads men to, besides, settling for someone they don't want to be with, is I have a lot of guys who have committed suicide, a lot of friends. And a lot of times these men, the last thing, because they're so fake in their dating life and behind closed doors. Well, maybe they're real behind closed doors when they're masturbating, but they're fake, you know what I'm saying? So what happens is that same guy, he ends up being suicidal because it's like, women don't want me, women don't like me, you know what I'm saying? Validation, always external. And then, when someone comes around and tells them like, oh, you need like either a better mentor. The same guy will say, oh, all dating coaches are scammers.
Right.
Because he got scammed by, I won't say any names, but some of the popular coaches out there that are, not the greatest, but they learned garbage. Their mindset was already garbage to begin with, so they didn't level up. And now they're like, well, life is over. I want to kill myself.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Like men when they become suicidal because of lack of game?
Yeah, well, the thing is you got to understand the reason why some of those guys go down that path is because since they don't love themselves, right? They're chasing what they think if they caught will make them worthy, lovable, and significant. So now what happens is you have a lot of guys in the, pickup artist community or guys even just online that's trying to make things happen with women. And they make women this important thing. They make women their gods. So it's like, okay, well, I have to attain this. And if I don't attain this, I'm nothing. I'm not worth anything. I don't have any value. And so if they're trying to get women and they can't make it happen, then they feel worthless. And then it makes them feel less than nothing. And therefore, then they want to delete themselves. You see what I'm saying? And they want to delete themselves because they have no self-love. This is why I always tell guys that the game is not about women, because if you make it about women, this is the type of things that can happen, because then what goes on in your mind is that because I can't attain the woman, because I can't get the woman how I want to make it happen, or because the woman is not here, or because she left me, or whatever it is, then you feel like your life is over. You feel like, oh, this is, this sucks. What's the point of even being here anymore? Like these type of thoughts end up coming in these guys' heads because they don't see any value in themselves, because they thought the value for themselves was about the woman. And so what I teach guys is you have to value yourself, period, right? Whether you have women here or not. You see what I'm saying? Because the thing is that you might be, person's listening to this podcast, watching us or whatever right now, they could be in their house by themselves, just chilling by themselves with no women or whatever it is like that. Or they don't have, enough money, or they don't have this, or they don't have that. But the problem is that when you think you need those things in order to be valuable, that's when you start to mess up mentally. So you got to understand that all you need is you. You already have the value you need. So you don't need anything else. The problem is that when you start to think or believe you need those things, then you go on this journey of trying to attain those things because you feel you need it. Because this is the thing: there's a difference between you enjoying the company of a woman, right? Because you don't need her, versus trying to be with a woman because you think you need her. And this is the funny part: you actually can't enjoy the company of a woman if you feel you need her, because every time when you're with her, you're interacting with her, there's always going to be anxiety that you're going to lose her. There's going to be that feeling of fear that she's going to cheat on you. There's going to be that feeling of oh my God, I don't want this to happen. What if she gets with another? Like you can't even relax because your entire sense of self-worth is whether or not she's here, whether or not she cares about you, whether or not she's wanting to be there. And when once you start having this mentality, it's dangerous, because when the woman isn't there, when she doesn't want to be with you, if she does cheat on you, if she does leave you for another guy, then you feel like you don't want to be here anymore. And
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
I'm saying this, and it's terrible. You know what I mean?
Self-destruct. Yeah, no, I get you on that. There's another topic I want to bring up here. Well, before I do that, I have to mention this. No, almost nobody mentions what I'm about to say, but there's a whole forum. Have you heard of this called Looksmaxxing?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know about the whole Looksmaxxing
Yeah.
nonsense that people talk
Yeah,
about.
so it's as gay as it sounds. Okay, so it's a forum basically. I'm just gonna explain it for the people, viewers out there. Basically, it's a bunch of dudes judging, and they're acting like doctors or surgeons, and they're judging your looks. So you're
Right.
putting your face up for other men to validate you. Like it's kind of gay. And then on top of that, these people will say, "Oh, Locario, you got to fix her nose or whatever." And then you will go out and actually get a surgeon to fix your nose because another dude online said that's what you need to go talk to girls, right? So forums like that, and if I've never been in those forums for a long time, they piss you off really. But if you go on those forums, you'll always notice like all the negative mindsets. All the guys on there, I don't like the word incel, but I'm just going to use it. There are a bunch of incels or simps or whatever, where they're all they're doing is they're kind of like peacocking each other and giving each other pointless advice and naming all their success with women about their job or like their chin line, okay? Or
Right.
I'm saying like all these stupid things. It just I can't. But that's not even what I want to mention. But how about inner game? This is a topic I hear a lot from other coaches where they'll say, and not even just coaches, the people that follow them, they'll say, Armin, inner game is stupid, it's pointless. All you need is technical game. And I'm sure you know what these terms are, right?
Right.
So what are your take on like inner game, and is it needed in talking to women properly?
Yeah, well, the thing is, the term inner game, a lot of people, they don't necessarily understand it because they think that it's just about, oh, well, just be confident and feel good, right? The thing though is that that's all game is really, is inner game, because what happens inside is going to project outside. So if people are talking about, well, it's all about what you're doing and saying, what you're doing and saying is connected to how you feel inside. So the thing is that, the problem is that I can tell a guy to do something. I can give him the words to say, literally word for word. And because he doesn't believe in himself, right? When he says it, it's not going to have any impact because it's not really coming from a place within him that's authentic, right? So the thing is that you have to already have that feeling, that knowing within you in order to bring that out in the interaction. This is what makes women feel you. See, a lot of these guys, unfortunately, because they're surface level and they have no experience with women, they think about things like, well, if I just look good, that'll be the end all be all. Looking good is cool. The problem though is that if you just look good, but you have the same mentality of a loser, then you're just a good looking loser. You feel what I'm saying? And so you'll look good, but you're not going to be able to maintain anything because your looks can't make you good in bed. Your looks can't make you confident. Your looks is not going to talk for you. You feel what I'm saying? Your looks is not going to lead. You see what I mean? So all these things need to happen, and you have to possess those qualities in order for you to be that attractive guy. So if you just look good, but that's it, then it's not going to do anything for you. You see what I'm saying? So the thing about having that game within you is that that's the thing that makes everything work out the way that you want it to work out, because the game is about you getting what you want on your terms. How do you do that? You have belief in yourself to the point where it becomes a knowing. Because it's the thing, knowing is more important than belief, because belief is something that you say, well, I believe I'm that guy, I believe I'm valuable, and I believe, this and that, which is good. That's better than not believing it. But you want to get to the point where you know. So I don't need to believe, you understand what I'm saying, that I'm Mr. Locario. Like, I know it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to like guess and believe and think about it. Like, I already know. Like I know this is a phone in my hand. I don't have to believe it. See, the knowing means that you're sure about yourself. So if I'm sure about myself, right, then everything that I do, I'm sure about why I'm doing it. I'm doing it when I want to do it, and I'm doing it how I want to do it. And so I'm never worried about what's going to happen after the fact. See, a lot of guys, when they get all technical, they're like, well, you got to say this and you got to say this line, you got to do all these things. They're doing that from a surface level aspect because they think that the game is surface level. They think that, oh, all I got to do is say these 3 words and then I'll have the woman that I want. But the thing is, you're not going to have the woman that you want, because in order for you to get the woman that you want, you have to be the guy that you actually want to be. And most guys are not that yet. Most guys are the guy that they've been taught to be. Most guys are the guys that their parents want them to be. Most guys are the guys that they think they should be in order to get some sex. Most guys are the guys they think they should be for other people to think they're cool. So no one is real. Most people are not being themselves. They don't, and this is why I say they don't even know themselves. You understand? So they're not even at that level. The people are not even at the level to believe that they can actually become the type of person they really want to be. Or I should say, they don't even have the courage to reveal who they really are. You see what I'm saying? So when you talk about game, it's all about the inside. You understand? That's why I say the truth is inside you. You have to understand who you really are, and that's already there. It just has to be revealed. And most people are too scared to be themselves. And I'll tell you why. The reason why most people are scared to be themselves, because if you're being yourself, right, and someone doesn't accept you, you can't handle that truth. You understand? So it's better to be fake and someone not accept you, because at least if they don't accept you, you don't feel like, I've exposed who I was. So now I can still think, well, maybe there's some hope. You understand? But you're still looking for that validation. But when you know you're that guy, when you know that you're that person, and you believe in yourself and you love yourself and you know yourself, then you're not looking for anything outside yourself to validate you, because you validate you. You see what I'm saying?
Of that. That's like an example I give to some of the guys, like when we go out is, so I don't know about you, Locario, okay, but I like doing some silly shit. Okay, just it gets me out of my head, like into the now, into the moment.
Right.
And so when I go out with my clients, sometimes I'll be like, go up to that girl and in the middle of the conversation, just do like a little shimmy, right? Like a little like Tourette's, Then go back into the conversation as if like you never did that.
Right.
And like don't show it on your face. And then guys will be like, oh, but that's weird. I'm like, maybe try it out. And then what they'll do is, they'll go up to a girl, whatever, a group of girls, whatever. They'll talk and stuff, and then they'll go a little shimmy. But all of them, they don't do it like that, okay? They kind of do it like this. It's like I'm saying, like they're holding themselves back, okay? Like, I don't know if you've ever done shimmies before, but if you hold yourself back, it's going to look weird.
Right.
So the guy's like, he's like unsure. It's like this. And then the girl is like, this girl is weird. Like, what is he doing? Some cocaine, okay? But then afterwards, he comes back to me. He's like, Armin, look, like self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, look, I did this and didn't like me. Like, bro, like, first of all, like, I wouldn't like you either the way you did your shimmy. That was terrible. So then it was my turn, okay? I went up there. I have this video, I think, somewhere. I'm not sure. I got to look in my archives. But I went up there. If not, I'll just record myself again. I went up there to some girls, like, excuse me, start talking to them, blah, blah, blah. And then in the middle of it, I did a little shimmy.
Right.
And the girls start laughing, okay? And I had them join me. So we all did shimmies. Like, it was like fun, whatever. And then, point blank, it was whatever, decent conversation. But then, so he's afar, okay? He's like next to the tree, like looking at me, like tree house. And it's like, whoa, wait, Armin. The only reason, and you're gonna love this, okay? The only reason they loved you is that you're Persian and you're bald and you have a nice beard. I'm like, brother, come on, really? Like, that's the reason, really? So I did it again. Okay, I'm in front of like I like to do crazy things in front of like a weird audience. So I went to it was a whole family, like having a picnic. I was like, excuse me,
Right.
start talking to them and they're a little shimmy.
Right.
They're all like, woo, like clapping, like they loved it.
Mm.
Again, this guy's watching me from afar. He's like, yeah, but they're like family though. Okay. It's like always something. And the crazy part, like you're mentioning yourself, is that it's not the words. Even
Mm.
texting, okay, we haven't talked about texting yet, but even texting, it's not the words I'm using,
Mm.
cadence is the tone, how I'm coming off.
Mm.
Me being able to look at you like this and do a little shimmy, okay?
Mm.
I don't if I look like, if I look like this, like I'm paranoid of getting shot or whatever, then yeah, that will look weird.
Mm.
But every single time I hear this, where guys are like, but Armin, it's because of your height. First of all, I'm not even tall. Okay, they're like, it's
Mm.
your height, it's your this, it's your Persian accent, whatever. And I
Mm.
always like to take that exact same example with the same guy, and then I'll prove him wrong every single time.
Mm.
And then the moment he does like another exercise I have is like, this is crazy, okay, but I'll show it to you. It's like you'll talk to the girl, and then
Mm.
you'll do a 360 and a
Mm.
little clap, okay? Some crazy shit, okay? But again, you're not doing this all the time. It's like once.
Mm.
Do it a lot, that will be weird.
Right.
You're seeking validation. But after they do this, maybe like two, three times in different sets, and then they're like, oh, like she didn't even care,
Mm.
right? So I was here. She didn't even care. And
Mm.
then he still ended up like getting their number, almost as if like that never happened.
Right. Well,
And
yeah. Well,
yeah.
the thing is too, you got to understand is that a lot of times most people are just in their head,
Mhm.
and so that's why they're scared to just express themselves however they want to express themselves. But also too, you know, the thing is that guys will look for excuses as to why it works for you but it won't work for them. Just like they're saying, like, oh, well, you have this and you have that. And the problem is that they never look at themselves and say, well, what do I have? You
Mhm.
understand? Or what is it about me? And if they would turn and look at themselves and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is attractive about me. I got these things going for me and I feel good about myself because of this. And it's really that simple. The problem is, again, too many guys are looking for women to tell them who they are
Mhm.
through the woman liking them because they're always looking at the outcome. But I always tell guys this is that you are connected to the outcome. So whatever outcome you want, you're connected to that. So if I want to, build a house, then I got to just lay the bricks, and then one day I'll have a house. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so I do the work, and then the outcome will happen. So the
Mhm.
same thing when it comes to attracting women, you do the work, and then the outcomes that you want will happen. See, the problem is that these guys, they want the outcome that they want, which is a woman being attracted to them, having sex with them, dating them. They want those outcomes without having to deal with what comes with doing that. So if you want a woman to say yes, you have to also accept the woman saying no. You see what I'm saying? But they want every woman to say yes and no woman to say no. That's not how it works in reality. You see what I'm saying?
So true, yeah.
Yes,
Let me just introduce Romeo. Romeo, thanks for coming here, brother. Romeo
No
is
sir.
problem.
from a coach from Succeed in Dating. Romeo, if you want to give yourself a little introduction, and then we're like in the middle of breaking down pickup game and like how it affects men's mentality.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm from Succeed in Dating. We only launched probably about 2 years ago, so pretty new to the industry. Uh, been involved in this kind of stuff for about 16 years now, so it's been a long time, man.
Mm.
Awesome, brother.
Started with the whole game thing, like the whole pickup industry, got kind of roped into that and started getting pretty good at it pretty quickly, but then kind of intuitively realized there's something wrong here. I was getting results and I was actually building a pretty good uh, reputation in the industry, started doing some coaching, but fundamentally at the core of myself, it was like there's not really much change been made. And I didn't have the kind of, what's the word, like kind of je ne sais quoi that these natural guys had. I didn't have that kind of smooth expression.
Mm.
And I'm like, fuck, what do I need to learn? More routines. So I'm like digging deeper and deeper, reading more books, speaking to more girls. And I'm like, fuck, I'm still really still the same guy. I'm just a guy that's fucked lots of girls. But I was so interested in like the dynamics of this, like the social aspect of it. It made me dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I started realizing this pickup industry is probably doing more damage to me than it was good.
Mm.
So I had to completely reset and go back to the beginning again, and realized even though I'd become a great pickup artist, I was still shit with women.
Mm.
And then I started on my real journey, and then started to make a real fundamental change to myself, and then figured out now I can actually start helping people. So that's kind of like a little stroke about my past and what I've been up to, and why I'm sat here with you guys today. So yeah.
Yeah, well, love that, man. Welcome. And that's actually great. Everything you just mentioned, me and Locario, we were discussing about why does, well, we broke it down and we're still, middle of the conversation, but I wanted to join it. And like you mentioned when you were learning pickup, the routines and stuff, that was actually, I guess, lack of better words, it was holding you back, right? From who you really are.
Yes.
Can you go deeper into that? Like, why was that so toxic for you? And, what happened for you to even realize that this was affecting your mentality? And then Locario, if you want to jump into after him, let's go.
Okay, cool.
I think the main thing that was affecting me, it was my own curiosity to become a better person, to become a more integrated individual. And I didn't even realize what that meant at the time. But I was curious about myself, and actually just to feel comfortable in my own skin. So the more I was digging into the pickup industry, I was going deep, man. I was spending literally, you're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds. I wasn't just meditating for a day. I was meditating for 12 hours. I was all fucking really into this kind of stuff. I wasn't opening 100 sets. I was opening 500 sets. I was obsessed with this. So my own curiosity, my own like journey that I was like trying to dig and dig and dig, and nothing was getting better. The only thing that was getting better was my success with women. And that's when it starts to sound crazy. And it's like, I'm having all the success with women, but when I'm going on to YouTube, because this is back in the day, I'm old school. I'm 44 years of age now. So when you see some of the people in the industry that they've been in this game for like, I've been doing this for years and years. It's like, fuck, man. I was doing this back in the days when it all started. Ross Jeffries. I was out there sergeant, bro. So it was really just, I'm not fundamentally feeling better about myself. And then I'm going onto YouTube and I'm seeing these guys, they're not doing no pickup, but they're just cool. They just don't give a fuck about what people think about themselves. They've got like this magic when they're interacting with people, this expression, this like flow. Sometimes the odd times that would happen, I'd hit this place where I just didn't give a fuck, where I could go up to a group of people and just completely express myself freely. Maybe I'd get the girl, maybe I wouldn't, but I'd walk away from that interaction. And I feel really good about myself. And it's like, man, that feels better. That interaction there felt better than the threesome that I had last week. And then I started to think, maybe I want that freedom, that expression more than I want pickup. So then I started going in that direction. And then I started realizing, fuck, I'm even better with women now that I've let go of women.
That's crazy. That's some real shit.
And then it's like I started to look at these concepts that I used to take for granted. People used to say to me, like in the self-help industry, I speak to these guys, they're like, teaching you self-help. And then one of my mentors years ago, he turned around to me and he said to me, I think I was, I'll be authentic with you, man. I was in tears. I'm like, I'm never going to get this. I've been doing this shit for years and I still feel like shit about myself. And he's like, interesting. He's like, what's the self? And I'm like, it's me, man, myself. I feel like shit about myself. It's me, And he's like, interesting. And he says, what's the self? And I'm like, I don't know. What is it? It's like, exactly. And then he said to me, next time you go on one of these like boot camps and you go and speak to these gurus, ask them what the self is. So I did. So I speak to these people, these proclaimed, self-help experts that have been teaching meditation. I'm like, yeah, what is the self? And they come up with the same drabble that I was coming out with. The answer was they didn't know what the fuck the self was. They wasn't teaching self-improvement. They was teaching ego enhancement. They were reading books and regurgitating it to me. Nobody knew what the fuck the self was. And then it was so profound. And I started realizing it was the little things I was hearing from my grandparents. You need to love yourself before you love anybody else. Maybe if I spend all this time focusing on what that word actually means, I might start getting somewhere. And then my game goes through the fucking roof. I don't give a fuck anymore. I just go for what I want. I express myself because I know what the self is. But yeah.
Deep.
That's real talk. This is what I tell people, about understanding who you are, understanding what you're about in order to make things happen. See, the thing is this, anytime anyone is doing anything that is, not natural for them, meaning it feels inauthentic, right, is always going to drain you and it's never going to make you feel fulfilled, energized, or anything else, because you're automatically disregarding who you really are in order to become something you're not, in order to gain something because your ego's telling you that you should have this. You see what I'm saying? And this is that's really just going to deteriorate you, mentally, physically, and all that other stuff, emotionally, everything else. Because the thing is that when you're in a situation where things are flowing naturally, because you started this situation off being who you are, and then you attract what is for you, then things start to feel more energized. You understand? That energy makes you what? More attractive, more magnetic. Yes. You see what I'm saying? And that's why, and that's right. You see what I mean? But when you're pretending to be somebody else, when you're doing things based on your ego, when you're trying to impress people, when you're trying to gain things that the world said you should have versus doing what you want to do in order to get what's for you, right? If you're up there pretending to be someone you're not and you're not being authentic, then what happens is even when you quote unquote get a certain thing, right, you're never happy. Why? Because who you are is actually not getting what you want anyway, because you have to be you in order to get what you want. You can't be somebody else and get what you want. It's impossible. And that's what most guys are doing. So that's why you feel a certain type of way when you're pretending to be someone to gain something and you get that thing and you're still unhappy. Why? Because it's not you. You understand? So whatever you've gained is what you got based on you pretending to be someone. And that's not who you really are. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy.
I want to piggyback on that real quick. I saw your face, Romeo. I feel like you're gonna jump in too. Okay, but no, but honestly, like everything 100%, both of you. Now something I realized in my own journey, like a few whatever years ago, and every now and then I might feel this again, but every time, it doesn't matter. I have like a white belt mentality, so I don't care if I'm a coach. I don't care. I'm always gonna be a student at heart. But every single time I feel like I'm getting mentally exhausted, that's the moment I realize that, okay, I'm not being me anymore. I'm putting on a show. I'm putting on my coaching hat or putting on, this guy that gets girls or whatever. But the moment I chill out and I'm way more just relaxed in my conversation with, again, not just with women, but anyone I'm speaking to, you'll realize that, like you mentioned, you get this energized feeling. You get excited to converse with this other person. But the moment, again, it doesn't have to be women. It could literally just be like even a prospect that you're trying to close or making a new friend. The moment I realize my conversation is becoming a drag, it's making me feel bored in the conversation. I realize that either I'm talking to a fake person or I'm being fake. I'm doing something more, overcompensating for this lack of interest in this conversation. I'm not sure if y'all had felt that before too, but again, not just with women, but anybody. No, it comes back to your integrity. If I'm speaking just for the hell of it, that's only going to go so far. But if I'm speaking from the heart because like I actually want to say these words, you have a lot more passion and a lot more like will to get those words out and actually want to have that conversation. Have you guys felt that before?
Oh yeah. That definitely happens. And that happens a lot of times because, we do things in general, or I say like people in general do certain things because they've been conditioned to do those things. And then they do those things over and over because that's what they've been doing before. So they just continue the same cycle without being aware of what they're actually doing. And then that causes them to not even be aware of why they feel the way they feel and why they're not happy in these situations that they're in. You see what I'm saying? But like I was saying earlier, is that, if you are in at any moment in your life, if you are being authentic and you're being real and you're enjoying yourself being in that state, that's what makes you happy. See, the thing is, a lot of times what happens is we're doing a lot of things we don't want. Okay, check this out. You ever notice how, think about a person who hates their job versus a person who loves their job, right? Two different types of energy. You understand? The person who hates their job, they get up there in a bad mood. Oh, I got to go to this place. I got to do this. The person who loves their job, they're in a great mood. They'll probably stay overtime, triple overtime, whatever it is. They'll be there for because they enjoy what they do, right? So whenever you're enjoying what you're doing, it's a different energy. Whenever you're not enjoying what you're doing, it's going to be this other energy. But a lot of times what happens is that when you are doing things that you don't want to do just to gain, when you gain it, you're not happy. This is why you have a lot of celebrities that, you hear that they'll have all the money in the world, they have all these different things, but they're depressed. Why? Because a lot of them are in circles and situations where they have to smile and be fake. They can't be themselves. They're trying to put up a front. They're trying to put, you see what I'm saying? All those things wear you down, which without you even realizing it. And then this is the sick part. Because you're unhappy, you start chasing more things to try to get happy, which creates more depression. You see what I'm saying? Because they're unaware that the thing that they're trying to chase is the reason why they're unhappy in the first place. It's terrible.
So true.
Triggering me, man. It reminds me of me. Yeah, that's how I used to feel pretty much for a long part of my life. So yeah, it's so true. Real.
Yeah.
Now, a concept I want to get into more, and I'm so glad you're here, Romeo, is that so we were talking earlier about how like pickup is, like I would say the technical, not even technical part of game. It's just a bunch of scripts, routines, demonstrating higher value, making up fake stories to be cool, okay, all those things. Now, I understand, for the guys in here, I'm sure the answer is really easy, but let's break it down more. What is like fundamentally, what is wrong with let's focus on demonstrating higher value. I feel like that one is something I hear like every single time I have a conversation about game. What does it do for you in a like wrongful way, memorizing the scripts, memorizing this material and having like trying to come up with stories to demonstrate that you are as cool as you say you are? What does that do for you? And what's the other side? What would you want, Romeo? What would you want men to, I guess, like follow in terms of learning, I guess, the right way of demonstrating value? What does that mean to you?
It means to me demonstrating, like we look at the word DHV, demonstrate higher value. So you can look at that from two angles. When I first got involved in it, I pick up the book, The Game, and I read that book and I'm reading about DHV. And if we put that under the microscope and we look at what that's talking about, a DHV could be me talking about the Route 56 drive I've taken with 3 strippers in the car, in the Porsche. And I'm telling a story about me going for this long adventure with these 3 girls, which I'm stopping off at motels. And I'm telling this in a really congruent type of story. So I'm demonstrating my value that, I'm pre-selected by beautiful women. I've obviously got money because I'm driving a Porsche. So this is demonstrating my value to that woman. So then that woman feels attraction for me. You can feel my value going up. So now she's feeling value. She's like, oh God, this guy's got loads of value. So then the problem with that is What the fuck's that got to do with value? Let's have a look at the word value. What is value? That's got nothing to do with value. You know, value is more of who you actually are. Being your authentic self is valuable. It's got nothing to do with, you know, whether I've got money. That's why you can look at people who've got no money. I mean, I live in Bali, and you want to see some of the best guys with women in this country. It's guys that they earn fuck all money and they teach surf. They teach surf lessons on the beach. They live in a fucking hut. These guys have got value. And the reason they got value is because they've got these big beaming smiles. Their eyes are fucking wide. You know, that's value. So if you want to get technical, because I know a lot of these pickup artists, you know, they read a lot of books on evolutionary psychology and they think they're clever. But if you want to zoom in on value, value is connected to what's called status. And then you say status to a lot of people, they'll be like, status is the money you've got in the bank. No, status is your level, like Locario is talking about happiness. Someone's happy, someone's connected to their authentic self. They're not entrenched in their egoic mind. You're attached to your authentic self. It's going to affect the whole way of being. So when you have children, the way you feel about yourself and you're raising your children and your children are looking at you, the way you mirror yourself to those children, help those children to develop their brains correctly so they grow up to be healthy, mentally healthy.
That's a good one.
That is status. So when I see some of these debates and I see like these PUA, you look in their eyes and you can see the trauma. You can see like this is what I do to get the girl and saying da 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 da. And I see someone like Locario and he's got this big smile on his face. He's relaxed. And I'm like, dude, those guys, they're not getting laid. I know who's getting laid. I can tell by how relaxed they are, how happy they are, how good they feel in their own skin, because they're displaying status. They're comfortable in their own skin. It's pretty simple, really. I mean, people like Marcus Aurelius was talking about this thousands of years ago. They're pointing us in the right direction. All about the self, bro. So we're going to talk about value again. Let's make it simplistic. What is value? What is true value? Because it's got fuck all to do with the car you drive. I remember I was quite successful, you know, I made a bit of money. And I remember in 2010 driving around in a Nissan GTR. Yeah, this hypercar that come out, you know, the king of the Japanese supercars. Sat there traumatized, stressed, looking like I'm fucking, there was so much, I don't feel good in myself. And I'm sat there in my car, in my cool whip, you know, my cool shades. No fucking girls. 6'2", I was fucking ripped. There's no girls. Why? Because I'm not happy, man. So I can walk over to women and demonstrate high value, which I've become pretty good at. I could tell a bullshit story and I could weave it so well. And some girls, they fell for this. Some girls, they lapped it up. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're feeling attraction for me. A girl will have sex with you for lots of different reasons. Most women, I don't believe that a lot of women have never felt the emotion of attraction. You make a woman feel attraction, she'll do stuff to you, man.
So true.
But a woman will also sleep with you because she feels affection for you, because she's a narcissist and she's highly manipulative and she can see you're traumatized. So she's like, okay, this guy's going to tell me some stories and he's going to keep on trying to play my shit tests and I'll be able to get as many drinks as I can. I can even tell him it's my birthday in 3 months' time and watch this guy buy me a nice ring to make me feel good about myself. And then the pickup artist is like, yeah, I'm running all my game. I'm demonstrating all my higher value and I got this girl because I'm so great. Nah, you never got that girl, bro. That cool cat in the corner got that girl because she's fucking you, but she's thinking about fucking him because she's attracted to him. So this stuff runs so deep. It's so complex. So to just turn value into DHV and all these stories and magic tricks.
Right.
I want to real quick. Real quick.
So, yeah.
Real quick. I just want to throw this story out there real quick. And then Locario, it's all yours. But I just thought about this while you were saying this, Romeo. I had a friend, again, like all my friends are going to look at this. So, you know, they're going to know who I'm talking about. But one of my friends, like we went out clubbing and stuff. Long story short, he got his dick sucked by this girl. But then the next day, she blocked him. So I've been like seeing this story for like a minute now. And it's like the obvious truth is that she was never into it. Okay, she only did that so she feels safe. Safety first, so she doesn't get raped or something. But a lot of men will look at this scenario and be like, yeah, but Armin, he got his dick sucked. I'm like, yeah, but she blocked him. Like, that's it. One time thing. Like, I'd rather jerk off at that point. No point. Okay. So, but when you were mentioning that, I was thinking of that, where a lot of people, the pickup artists, they will think like, oh, I have more game now because I got my dick sucked after like 20 hours of conversation.
Right. That's terrible. And what's crazy though, because like even the whole concept of demonstrating high value, or even like people say like high value man and all these other things, is that what people don't realize is that everything that exists has value. You understand what I'm saying? So there's really no need to demonstrate it because everything has value. So you don't need to demonstrate. It's just that people have to recognize value in order to be able to be able to use the value and for that value to be of use. So for example, like this microphone is valuable because you can hear my voice. This camera is valuable because you can see me on the camera. This phone is valuable because I can send texts and all these other things, right? Now, there's this food cooking on the stove right now. That food is also valuable, but check this out. I need to be able to recognize the value within each of these things. So if I'm hungry, I'm not going to eat the phone. I'm going to eat the food. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm recognizing the value within each thing and understanding how those things pertain to me. So when you're dealing with a woman, you don't have to demonstrate the high value. What it is, she has to recognize the value within you. That's what makes her attracted to you, because she's attracted to the value that can benefit her in the situation she's in. But you don't have to demonstrate it, because by you demonstrating it, you're not giving her the opportunity to recognize it. And it's important for her to recognize. I always use this example. If you have a musician, right, and they want to get on in the music industry, right, they need to be able to recognize someone like a Dr. Dre or Lucian Grain or a Pharrell or whatever it is like that. So if those guys walked into the room, they recognize, oh, that's Dr. Dre, that's this guy, that's that guy. Dr. Dre doesn't have to demonstrate he's Dr. Dre. You understand? It's up to the artist to recognize he's Dr. Dre. You see what I'm saying? So it's up to them to have the ability to know, because all recognize means is recognize. That means to re-know, to understand what they're experiencing, what they're seeing, and understand that that's valuable. Now, the surface level people that think, they're gonna be like, but Locario, that's already Dr. Dre. They already know that that's Dr. Dre. But see, what happens is they have a certain awareness to know that's Dr. Dre. So they've done the work to have the awareness to know that's Dr. Dre. So when you talk to a woman, she, on her end, has to do the work to be aware of your value. You don't have to demonstrate the value to her, because the ironic part is by demonstrating the value, what you're essentially saying is that you are not really it, which is why you have to show her or orchestrate it for her to see it. So you're robbing her of the ability to recognize that within you, which is what she should do in order to make it happen. Just like I have to recognize that there's food on the table versus me eating my freaking phone. Do you see what I'm saying? I have to do the work to recognize the value within each thing or within everything in order for my life to be beneficial to me. You feel what I'm saying? So the phone is not going to be here telling me that I shouldn't eat it. I have to know. See what I'm saying? That's my job. And this is what you guys have to understand when you're dealing with women, is that you put so much strain on yourself because you have been indoctrinated or basically conditioned to believe that you have to put in all this work to beg women to see value in you. And that's not how it should go. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy.
No, actually, I'll go for it, Romeo.
I just like to just add on that, like when you talk about Dr. Dre, it's for me, it's like it makes me think of doing and being. Like a lot of people, I've seen like some of the podcasts on Game Global, and I've seen like when people mention like stuff like that, it's like people would turn around and say, well, yeah, it's Dr. Dre. Of course, women are gonna love him. It's Dr. Dre. But what they don't realize is, no, if Dr. Dre was to walk into a room when nobody knew he was Dr. Dre, he would still get the girls. Because it's not what he's doing, it's who he actually is.
Right.
Because attraction is being caused by the way he moves. It's his movement through space. It's the cadence in his voice. Because he believes in himself, the way he steps forward, the way he reaches for the drink. When he sees the girl, he's like, hey, the way he calls for the girl. He doesn't walk over to her and go, oh, hey, did you see the fight? There was a fight outside. He just walks over to the girl and he's like, come here. That movement through space and time to go for what he wants. And that's what causes the attraction. He's being himself. That's why he's Dr. Dre. That's why he made it and a lot of rappers didn't make it.
Right.
Because he believes in himself. And if you believe in yourself, you connect with yourself and act through space and time as the self. The world, the social matrix, will give you your props. They'll give you money. Women will give you their love because you are displaying status, self-expression, Dr. Dre. So that's what I see when I hear that.
No,
that's why when people talk about all the different, like, you need to have looks and you need to have this and you need to have that. And then I go, I've been going into clubs for the past 20 years and I've been studying this stuff for 16 years. And I've seen little dudes, 5'3" dudes, with like these weird little, like these weird beards and like tumbleweeds on their head, picking up beautiful women. And when I first started seeing this, I'm banging my head against the wall, like, how the fuck are they doing this? How is this possible? But it was always there. It was always in front of me. Because we talk about, like, you look at like rappers talking about Dr. Dre. You look at someone like Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls was picking up hot chicks. And then people were like, yeah, but that's because he's famous. No, he's sleeping with celebrities.
These celebrities are not getting with him because he's got money. That's the funny part. You know what I'm saying?
They're not getting with him because he's got money. They got money. They're not getting with him because he's got fame. They got fame. They're getting with him because he's expressing himself. So yeah, that's what I see when I hear that kind of.
No, I honestly love that. I love both of you mentioned, and I was talking to Locario about this before, but I want to bring it up again. The idea of talking to every woman the exact same. Okay, so the only difference would be I have, like, how have you heard of the hot babe scale, like the 1 to 10? Guys are like, oh, that's a 9, that's an 8.5, 8.8, whatever. I made it simple. Okay, I made it 3 things, and this is what I teach every guy. Number 1, ugly. Number 2, average. Number 3, attractive. That's it. Okay, so if she's ugly, I'm not gonna hit on her if she's ugly. Just not gonna happen. I might be a friend or whatever, but that's fine. Only if I value certain things about her. If she's average, then we'll probably just be friends. If she's attractive, I want her. Okay, she's my wife. She's my queen. She's mine. But the difference is this, though. When I speak to, I'm just gonna break down attractiveness for myself. Okay, I don't care about other guys. For me, I love a girl that has some meat on, like curvy, but I mean like really curvy, like she has meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, to other guys, she's fat. But again, I don't care about those guys. I'm the one putting my dick in her, not them. Okay? If they're interested, that's just some weird shit. But the point is, like, whether she's curvy, whether she's skinny, whether she's, I like short girls personally, but whatever. The point is, as long as she's attractive, I don't care if she's like Jessica Alba versus Beyonce versus the girl down the street. I don't care. Whoever she is across the board, the way I present myself is always going to be the same. Why? Because I'm sexually attracted to her. Okay. So that being said, and if we're going back to value, I value every attractive woman that I find sexually attractive the same, one and the same. It's like binary. She either is or she's not. There's no like boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, and I get this, and all of us are coaches, whenever I bring a new guy into a club, it's always like, Armin, let me first go, he doesn't say this, but I know he means this. Let me first go warm up with a woman that's not as attractive as like one of the babes in the room. And I always mention to them that you're not going to learn by talking to that girl that she has no attention at all. You don't feel, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't feel it in your balls, as Dean, my mentor, Dean, will call it. You don't feel it in your balls. So there's no point to go talk to her. It makes more sense to go talk to the babe that you actually want, right? And then what happens is that once you speak to that babe, she's going to see your value because you just approached her, okay? You went up to her, okay, to talk to her and all that stuff. Now going back into what I was saying about treating every woman the exact same, and I want to turn this to you guys to see, I already know Locario's viewpoint, but doesn't matter. Maybe there's a guy out there that doesn't know. Okay, but my question for both of you is that not so much what you do about it, because I think I understand that, but from a guy, let's say a newbie, a brand new guy who has never really spoken to girls before. He watches a lot of just the pickup stuff content on YouTube. A guy like him, what do you need to tell him? I guess maybe not tell or show, for him to treat all women that he finds sexually attractive, talk to them the same. What do you need to tell him to break through that wall he has created where he's like, oh, she's a 7, she's an 8, she's a 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully my question is not confusing, but one of you take it away.
I'll say this. Well, the thing is that he's not going to be able to do that until he basically has, and shout out to my dude Miles, he calls it a masculine identity, meaning you have a way that you do things, the way that you see yourself, and the way that you go about things in your life. So it's going to be impossible for you to treat all women the same until you have a certain program or a standard you live by. Because what happens is when you make the game about women, all you're doing is that you are just there at the whims of women. Once you are stable in who you are, then what will happen is that the women are not going to matter. All that matters is how you do things. So for example, if I own like a department store or a company, and people come into my store, right? All the things are the same. Like, I'm going to treat each customer the same. Whoever buys this is going to get the same thing at the same prices. This is how it is. If it's a restaurant, we're going to serve everyone the same food that's on the menu. You feel what I'm saying? So nothing is changing based on the person coming in, right? So it's the same thing with a woman. Nothing is changing about me based on the woman coming in. You understand? Because I'm already stable and grounded in how I do things. Right. And that's the only way a guy is going to be able to do this. So a lot of times what happens is these guys are not able to make this happen because they're still caught up on trying to chase women and especially based on beauty. So they think the hotter she is, right, the better she is, or the hotter she is, if I can get her, that means the better I am. That's why they're connecting their sense of self to the beauty of the woman, which is why they treat each woman differently based on the beauty. You feel what I'm saying? Because they're like, well, if I can get her, then that means that I'm somebody. If I can only get this type of girl, that means I'm nobody. So they keep, judging themselves through the interactions they have with women and who they feel they can pull based on how hot she is. And that's where they keep losing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
My take on that is like, when I hear like 7 and 8 and 5 and 3, it triggers me. It reminds me of like me back in the day, because really it's objectification of people, objectification of women. So it's like, what do you want to be in this? Do you want to be a ladies' man? Because a ladies' man, believe it or not, he actually loves women. He actually loves women. He respects women. So you'll see a guy, they'll write a field report on one of the forums and they'll be like, I went out last night and I slept with this 9. What? And I look at this and I'm like, that poor woman who's probably got a name, who's probably got a really cool job,
right,
who's probably got a cool taste in fashion. So it's not like, oh, I went out last night and I met Jessica. And I had this amazing conversation and she had these radiant eyes and she told me about this and she was so expressive. I was so attracted to her. No, I was just this 9. So people get caught up in this objectification of women and they're just like Locario. I can't put it any, the way that he's just described it exactly. It's chasing. The hotter the girl, the higher the rating of the girl, the better I feel about myself. Because what it's actually doing is chasing self in other people's. If I can get that self, it's like Freddy Krueger, where he collects all the souls and you see all the souls come out of his chest. So you get these guys, the more 9s I can collect, the better I feel about myself. And they stay in this kind of circular motion forever. And I see this happening in the pickup industry with all these guys, and they're getting You just can see in their eyes, they're getting more and more and more disconnected, more traumatized. I need more souls. Give me some more nines. Now, I'm not denying you, there's women out there that are absolutely beautiful, that are stunning, and there are women out there that are not so stunning. But what I can guarantee you, until you can get to a level where you view human beings as fucking amazing, you can connect to yourself and you can express yourself to another self. Until you can do that, you'll never be Casanova. You'll just be a modern day pickup artist. And when I hear that, like the word pickup art, PUA, pickup artist, we're talking about art. What you'll find with the common theme of art is art's got nothing to do with your logical brain. Art form is a right brain intuition. It's got nothing to do with thinking. When Lewis Hamilton's going 200 miles an hour, do you think he's thinking when he takes that corner? When Roger Federer's returning that serve from Nadal, do you reckon he's thinking when he returns that serve? There's no thought. There's no doing. There's just being. There's just expression. So I would say I see someone like Locario, and I see more of a pickup artist than a modern day pickup artist. So it's what are we talking about here? Because I think a PUA, the if you put that under the microscope and look at the heart of what it's actually pointing to, I think it's very possible. But the thing that makes a pickup artist is a guy who doesn't even know he's a pickup artist. Other people will be the judge of that. Because as soon as you identify yourself as a PUA, you're back into the mind. I'm doing, got to get my nines, I'm only going to sleep with her if she's an 8 or a 9. You're in the mind.
I love that, man. Yeah,
it's crazy.
I love that. Locario, you have something you want to say?
Oh no, I was feeling that. That's crazy because a lot of times that whole thing about, guys worried about her being a 9, 10, 6, 4, whatever. And this is the funny part, is because I keep trying to tell people that all of it is subjective. Your looks is subjective. What you like is about you. So the thing is that if it's all about you, then the conversation about her being a 9 is irrelevant, because whatever a 9 is for you is a 9, 10, whatever, in your world, in your psyche, in your opinion, in your tastes. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is that there can never be a thing where a woman who looks this way or is this 9 is more difficult than the girl you consider a 4, which is what they think, because it's all in your own head. You see what I'm saying? So that's what they play mind games with themselves, which is why they're having trouble. If they would stop with the mind games and actually just be, you feel what I'm saying, and focus on themselves and understand who they are, then they'll understand what they're attracted to, and they'll be able to attract what they want. You feel what I'm saying? So guys make this more complicated than it needs to be, because this is the thing. Any type of woman that you're attracted to, that you are, let's say physically attracted to or sexually attracted to, there are millions upon millions, is thousands and thousands of millions of it's so many women out there that you can even handle, that are your type of woman that you would be attracted to, that would also be attracted to you. You see what I'm saying? So this thing where guys make this so complicated is because deep down they want to make it complicated because they're still trying to find things to accomplish and overcome, because they still believe that if I overcome this thing, then that will make me important, relevant, and lovable. But guess what? If you understand that you're important, relevant, and lovable already, you're not going to try to overcome this thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're chasing this thing you're trying to overcome to get to this place, but you're already there. You just don't recognize it. Remember, when I was talking about recognizing earlier, you have to recognize you. And that's the issue with most of these guys. They don't recognize who they really are, because if they did, they would stop chasing. They would stop doubting. They would stop hating themselves. They would stop doing all of this running around that has nothing to do with nothing. You feel what I'm saying? But the thing is that until they recognize, know who they really are, they're going to continue in the same cycle, and it's not going to stop. It's terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Romeo, did you have something?
No, yeah, I can't. Yeah, that's what it's, chasing. That's what people do. It was making me think, like, when Locario was speaking, it reminds me of Dean. You've worked. I think you've worked with Dean. Dean's like my best friend. So he was talking about, like, back in the day when we was running around chasing, trying to get as many women as we possibly could, more.
Sure.
And he was describing to me how he feels like, can't remember if it's the correct name, Ahab, the guy that was chasing after the white whale.
I'm not sure.
It's basically, he's talking about Dean was making out, he goes out and he meets all these women, he's collecting all these different types of women. And behind him, he's got these collections of all these beautiful women. But it's like, no, I need to get more women. And people are looking at him and it's like, you've got all the women, dude. It's like, yeah, but I need another one. It's like, but you've got one that looks exactly the same. It's like, no, but I need another one. I need another one. I need another one. I need more. And it's like, it's fucking crazy, because the irony is, I've slept with lots of women back in the day, but the truth was, it's going to sound pretty profound. When I really looked at it, I'd never slept with any women. Even though I'd slept with hundreds of women, I started to realize I'd never slept with any women, because I hadn't slept with anybody. My ego had. Not me. I didn't even know the fuck I was. Because when you actually sleep with a woman, you're going to have a great experience. You're going to experience something. You're going to experience true connection. And it's so much deeper. But the pickup industry, that doesn't sell, does it? That doesn't sell courses, and that doesn't sell the dysfunction. Because the actual truth, people are not chasing because they're attracted to women. They're craving women. They need women. And they mistake the feeling of need and craving for attraction. So fuck all to do with attraction.
Right.
Attraction is different to craving. If I'm attracted to someone, like probably like right now, I'm attracted to this coffee. So I pick it up and I go and I drink it. Because I'm attracted to it and I take it. It's what I want. Perfect movement, hand goes, grabs cup. I'm not like, oh, I just take the coffee. When you're attracted to a woman, so when I walk into a club or I go to the beach today with Dean, I'm walking down the beach and I turn to my left and I see a hot girl, I feel attraction. I'm like, hey, excuse me. Hey, what's going on? Yo. This is perfect movement towards the person that I'm attracted to, the thing that I want. And that's because I stay connected to myself, I dwell in myself, and I express myself, whether that's to grab my coffee or whether that's to meet somebody. So,
and Romeo, the crazy part is that, and it's going to sound so, I'm sure it will sound so insane, but just bear with me. Like, once you do that, like, because your energy is like, you want them so bad. Like, when I say so bad, I'm not saying from a place of need. It's like you want them, right? Want versus need. So when you want them so bad, what happens is, the crazy part is that usually, obviously, if the girls are attracted to you, she'll want you as bad as you want her, or maybe even more than you. Okay, that's the crazy part. When like I remember when I was first starting out, coach or people used to mention like, you get to an advanced point when women start chasing you. That didn't make any sense. I was like, what the hell do you mean? Like, do I have to stand in a club and then girls come up to me, right? Because that's what every guy would assume. But no, like, I mean, maybe in some sense, but it's like you're projecting the core authentic self of who you are, and women have like a sixth sense, they will see that shit. Okay, they'll see that this is the real Romeo right now. This is not a front. He's not demonstrating higher value. Like, this is him. This is the value. And the crazy part is that honest to God, it makes game, I'm going to use the word game loosely, it makes it easier. It's almost like another person will look at you and be like, oh, and I hate when I hear this. Guys will be like, oh, you didn't use any game. I'm like, first of all, you don't know what game means, okay? Like if you think that, you don't know what the hell game means, okay? You got to stop talking, okay? Like, it's the whole aura, everything about you is the game, right? It's not a backpack you put on, like, yeah, let me go. Or like, I'll have this where, I have like the same smart glasses as Dean. And every time I go out to like Sarge, so Locario, these are like smart glasses you get to record. But every time I put the glasses, in my mind, mentally, I have to shut down the ego of saying, okay, Armin, it's now time to Sarge because the glasses are on. I have to like literally, physically, like I have to turn that off to be like, no. I'm just going about my day. you know?
Yes.
She just
Yes.
happens to be a beautiful babe in front of me, and I just happen
Yeah.
to press record, you know?
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
so true. That's like when I hear people say like day game, I'm gonna go and do my day game.
Yeah.
I understand why they're saying that. I get it.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not mocking these people because I'm mocking myself because that's what I used to do. I used to go out and do my day game. You know, but it's like you look at guys that are great with women who have actually got game. And you look at these guys, they're not getting ready to go downtown and like I'm going to go and do my day game. They're going to go and buy a pair of trainers. You know, they're gonna go and meet up with their friends that they haven't seen. On their journey, if they see a woman
Yeah.
and that a woman comes into their peripheral vision, they might express themselves and they might go and speak to that girl. If you go up to that guy and you say to him, "Hey man, what you doing your day game?" He's gonna go, "What the fuck are you talking about? What's day game?"
Right.
You know, I'm just going out, man. And it's making a connection. But the pickup industry is based on no, I'm going out to do my thing. I'm trying to find the science. I'm trying to find the logic. Well, I thought you was talking about artistry. There's no logic in artistry, bro. This is intuition. This is game. Games and intuition. It's something that it's inside you. It's inside every man. Every man's born with game. But people from their upbringing, some people haven't got access to that because they become so identified with their ego. And some egos are pretty damaged that they have to learn how to transcend their ego, to see themselves and actually find themselves. And then they can make true change. Then the ego can actually, your personality, you can actually shape yourself to the man that you want to be. But you're never going to do that when you're trapped in this prison of get girls, got to do this, got to do this. You've got to find yourself so then you can actually make true change. That's why I like, when I see some of the guys on the podcast, especially like with yourself, Locario, it's like a breath of fresh air listening to you because I knew straight away, I can feel it where you're coming from, you're pointing in the right direction.
No, that's what's up, man. And this is the last thing I say because I gotta head up out of here in a second. But and I appreciate you guys having me on here, man. This is a real dope exchange. And the thing that he's talking about, like, what game is, and I think this is what confuses guys because they'll be like, oh well, if you're not using game because you didn't use this tactic or this method, and this is the issue with a lot of guys, right? Is that they're looking at surface level things, right? But they're not actually looking internally, because once they look internally, then that's when they'll understand what the game is actually about. Because when we're talking about just game in general, we're talking about the game. We're just talking about life, right? When we're talking about having game, it's about you having a skill or strategy to get what you want in this life on your terms, right? And the key thing is on your terms, because that is what you are about in order to attract what you want, in order for you to have that experience that you want to have, right? And so the problem is, like we were saying earlier, is the ego gets in the way of you. That's why I liked when you said, you was like, I haven't slept with any of these women. It was the ego sleeping with her. You feel what I'm saying? And I was like, that's some real talk, because most of these guys don't realize that that's what's actually happening, because their ego wants the girl so bad. Their ego wants to sleep with the 9. Their ego wants to show off this hot chick to their friends. Their ego wants them to feel like the man, right? And so the thing is that if you're living and you're experiencing these situations through your ego, then you don't understand the game, because the game is about not your ego, but who you truly are in order to have those experiences, in order to really experience. Because this is what I always say. I always say that, I did a video the other day where I said, a man can't really love a woman if he needs her. You understand? Because his need for her is always going to get in the way of his love for her, because you can't love what you need. You can only love what you don't need, meaning if I can let you go and if I don't need you here, then that means I'm not attached to you. So therefore I can properly be able to see you as you are, not see you as I need you. You see what I'm saying? And that's the part that guys have to take heed to their entire situation when it comes to game, is that, if you keep feeling the need, which is neediness, then your game is weak, because what you're essentially doing is you are constantly trying to feed the need, And when you're constantly trying to feed the need, that within itself is neediness. So if you go outside and you say, man, I got to approach a 10, I got to approach a 10, I got to approach a 9, I got to get a girl's number tonight, I got to do, if you're in that mindset where you have to make it happen, you're being needy, and it's your ego telling you you have to do this, and therefore you are not even there. That's why I said you are not there experiencing anything. You feel what I'm saying? And that's why you feel drained, because the real you, after you done tried to feed your ego, the real you is exhausted, because it's you're not actually being natural in who you really are. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy. You feel what I mean? Man. But yeah, man. But yo, I appreciate y'all having me on. I gotta run, man. But this is dope, man. You know what I'm saying? Hit me up on the back end again. You know what I mean? We can definitely do this again.
Good. All right, Locario, thanks for coming, brother.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all be safe, man. Appreciate y'all, man.
You too, man.
All right, peace.
Romeo, I have one more question in here, and then afterwards we could wrap up. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, go for it, bro.
Okay, cool. All right. I thought about this while both of you were talking. So one way that I discover, and this is similar to what you said about watching those podcasts with those guys, and then you know how you could look at their eyes and kind of tell like where they're coming from, like their story in some way. And one of the ways that I personally use, and this is even before I became a coach, before I started the company, one way I would use just to like fact check if the person I'm speaking to actually has game, or they're just, you know, regurgitate, I can't pronounce the word. They're repeating things from like somebody else, you know what I'm saying? And one way is, and I don't know who's watching this, but I like to trigger the coach to see how they react. Okay, so and the way I trigger them, you know, there's multiple ways, but I'm not being rude. I'm just poking their buttons. So something I'm not gonna say any names on this call because it's recorded too, but I realized that a lot of the coaches that a lot of guys like, I will just put it that way, they are like little boys. Okay, like when I speak to them, they speak to me, but they're not really talking to me. They're talking to like my vessel. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not talking to my soul. I don't know if that makes sense. They're talking to like an image of like a placeholder of who I am. And then when we get into a deeper conversation, especially obviously about women, the moment they start telling me like anything like, Armin, you don't need any inner game, you know, you don't need, you know, all these other concepts of self and ego and all these things, like healthy ego, you don't need them. You just need to know what to say to have sex with a girl. Okay, so, right? So, and it's wild, okay? Again, I wish offline I'll give you the names and stuff, but it's wild, okay? You look at this and you're like, wait, whoa, well, hold up. Like, you're getting like 5 to 8K and you're telling guys that you don't need inner game? Like, what do you mean? Okay, and when you look at their success of their students, not all of them, but some, I would say majority, they're really toxic. Like, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So that's why, like, when I met Dean per se, like, I didn't know anything about Dean. Like, I'm not sure if Dean told you, like, I didn't know anything about him. I just saw him online, posted one video, I messaged him, we started talking. And the reason I knew that Dean, okay, and I'm sure Romeo, yourself as well, we're going to meet each other soon. But the moment I realized Dean is like the real deal, like he's a master at what he does, the way he communicated was so professional and kind of like a brother, like a really respectful way. He never said the word bitches. He never said the words, you know, you need to do these technical shit. His whole cadence, like we didn't even talk about women. His whole cadence was, I was like, this guy's a family. Like, this is like an uncle or something, you know? Like, this guy's a friend. And that's why I signed up with him. I just randomly paid him money. Boom, I showed up in Miami. And just because and same for you too, like, I've never met you before, but this call has revealed a lot about your personality and character, which is great, which is exactly what I thought you were beforehand. But now being able to obviously engage in conversation with you, it tells me volume about not only the type of coach you are, but also the type of man you are behind closed doors. What do you think of that when you see other coaches who, you know, they're like boyish? You could get girls, but they don't go beyond that. What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts on that now is more, it makes me kind of not feel bad for them, but I look at them and it reminds me of how I used to be. And sometimes I get triggered. Sometimes it pisses me off. I see it and I feel that part of me that wants to go, what the fuck are you talking about? Sometimes I want to argue. And sometimes, I find myself holding myself back and not saying what I want to say. And then I focus on the actual reality of what's going on here. So a lot of people are in a lot of pain and they're completely unaware of it. And they become, coaches, or they become, pickup artists, and they grab onto a method and they've got to defend that method. They've got to defend their way of life. And if you're going to argue with that person who's defending their way of life, they're going to defend it till the day they die, because what they're defending is their ego. So someone's going to argue with you, and it's got nothing to do with the truth. It's to do with themselves. They feel like they're defending themselves because they're identified with themselves, which is not themselves, it's their ego. And I see that in a microsecond, instantly. So when I see someone that kind of triggers me or saying something which is completely ridiculous, I try to be as conscious as I possibly can and see the truth. What is it like? Forgive them, they know not what they do. Kind of learn. It's kind of that kind of stuff. Stuff's at play. I'm trying to really get to the essence of what that is pointing to. Because if I don't, then I'm going to get triggered and get myself in an argument. I'm going to get pissed off. Because the truth is, all that's happening is we're projecting onto others what our shadow and ourselves. So if someone's going to piss me off and someone's going to be saying something and I'm like, I don't completely disagree with this person, they're defending this ridiculous method and that's triggering me. It's got nothing to do with that person. They're basically just showing me my own shadow. So am I conscious enough? Am I man enough to dwell in myself, not my ego, and respect what that person's saying and think, yeah, that's cool. I'm not going to go along with it. I'm not going to agree with it. But unless someone's stepping in my way, stopping me moving down the road, they're no problem to me. And I wish them all the best. And hopefully they'll find the way. They'll find themselves to the true self. And they'll realize that these crazy methods and these crazy ways of acting it's not productive. It's pretty toxic. And it's leaving a lot of these guys in the pickup industry in a bad way. I'm seeing hundreds, thousands of guys that have been in this industry for years and they still can't speak to women. They still can't express themselves. They're still dreaming about meeting this beautiful woman. It's like, man, you can meet her today. You really can. But no, I've got to learn more game. And then you've got the coaches that you're talking about and they're fulfilling all this for these guys. They keep it going and keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. But I myself was one of those coaches. 2007, 2008. If you would have spoke to me then, I was that guy. I was that guy, man. I would have argued with you and I'd had all these methods and it's got to be like this and you've got to get these girls. It's only from my, again, like I said at the beginning of the call, how curious I was, that I really had to dig deep and realize I was full of shit. But, I'm sure there's lots of coaches out there that I'm going to, be in alignment with. But there's not many people in the industry that I look at and I think, yeah, you're the truth. It's very, very rare that the people that I respect and I look up to and I think they're in complete alignment. That's why I wanted to come on this and speak and actually get the chance to speak to Locario, because I just knew straight away this guy is repping game. He's the truth. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I appreciate everything you mentioned. And I really like how you compare it to your old self, because you could have sat here and you could have completely shit on these coaches and whatever, all these guys. But instead, and this is again speaks volume about who you are, you didn't do that. You said, well, listen, I used to be like that. You compared yourself to them, which is real as it gets. And I really appreciate you even just being here. And and honestly, this was my first podcast, but this was great. Okay, I would say this is really successful.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. It's good, man. It's great. It's good energy, bro.
Yeah, honestly, really you as well. Okay, and I would love to do more podcasts with you in the future as well. You just have that, not just the wisdom, the knowledge, but you also have the human in you. Yeah, man. I personally, for me, I was gonna dump on the coaches. I was I've had this before where I won't say argument. I don't really get into arguments unless I want it. And I don't really want arguments, but normally it's a good discussion, go back and forth conversation about something. But the topic of inner game, whenever that comes up with like a said coach, that's the moment where there's a clear dividing factor. No, I'm over here, I preach inner game, this is what I do. Other side, they don't preach it because of their own ignorance or whatever it is. But I like what you mentioned about just comparing it to your old self. My old self, I was never into like all the techniques and stuff. I was more into spirituality. I still am into connecting better with women and stuff like that. But no, that's really, I love your take on it. That was different. I didn't expect that, to be honest with you. But Romeo, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Are there any last comments, last things you want to mention to the guys watching in how they can, kind of like, I don't want to say snap out, but kind of like snap out of this toxic trend of pickup industry and like for them to get out to become their, real self?
I would say, like, to anyone watching, focus on the basics, the basic foundations, like, and start asking more questions. And don't make your questions too complex. Focus on these simple words that you've been using. When we talk about self, focus on self. What does that mean? We talk about confidence. Actually study confidence and look what confidence actually is. We talk about meeting girl. Like, I remember I always said, I want to meet an amazing girlfriend. When I figured out what girlfriend actually meant, meet someone who's your friend. Do you know what friend actually means? A lot of what you need to learn, the answers you've already got what you need. But the pickup industry, the self-help industry will keep you in this place, this advanced, complex place, and keep you spinning like a dog chasing its tail. So a lot of it, I think you have to go through a lot of crap. I had to go through a lot of experiences, and I had to go down a lot of tunnels, which led me to the wrong place, but I had to go through those experiences to become the guy I am now. So, but just try to be vigilant. Try to ask questions. Don't just take everything that you hear and think this is the truth. Question it. And yeah, you'll be fine. And then, if you really want to make change, reach out to me or Dean Raymond, and we'll help you out.
Awesome. Love that, brother. All right, well, thanks to everyone for joining in. This is the first podcast from many, but we have Romeo from Succeed in Dating. Thanks, brother, for joining us here. I'm from Social Matrix. I love that you mentioned my company's name earlier on without knowing, which is really cool. You all have an amazing night, and we will do this again soon.